Powered by Riverside.
Hello, and welcome into TheSadFan, where we talk about the good, the bad, and everything that made you sad from the previous week in sports. Now, I got a flight coming up, so I'm going to make next week's show, but I'm going to miss the show after that. So we're going to have a great show with Josh and Wes playing around, talking about things. I'm going to be gone, so who knows what those two will come up with on their own. But I'm gonna be on a really long flight, and I was listening to another sports podcast, and I don't know if this was a recap or this happened recently, okay? But Rich Eisen had Larry David on, and we're not big enough to get big guests like Larry David, and they were talking about airplane seats, Wes. They were talking about airplane seats, and it hit me hard. So I posted a clip in our Discord in the general that I'd love for you to watch, and I'd love to know if you agree with Larry David or you agree with Rich Eisen. Because as you watch this, let me just give my position here. I'm in firm agreement with Larry David. Firm agreement with Larry David about airplane etiquette and how it is that one, while riding an airplane, should handle their seat. So as Wes watches this, I'm going to tell you I am a frequent flyer. I fly more than almost anybody I've ever met. I fly a lot. Okay, and it's only been curved recently in this year. And I have rules. My rules have changed slightly in Europe because European flying is a little bit different, and I had to get used to that when I was flying all over Europe.
How is it different, though?
It is different when you take European flights from place to place. Like, everybody stands up on a European flight. You'll have it's pretty normal to have walkers. If you're flying to Middle Eastern countries, it's pretty normal to have them take off their shoes and sandals, and they kind of are like bare feet in the aisleways. It's just a normal thing. There's a lot of different things that you kind of have to get used to that are a little different. But one thing that I refuse to get used to is people that lean back their seats.
Your seat on an airplane.
100%. You do not go back into a person's lap. Wow. It's so inconsiderate. One notch. I'll give you one notch. Okay? Wow. One notch. That's it. Nobody wants to see their head. Okay? They just don't want to see it. And there's not enough room as it is.
But the button's there for a reason.
It's wrong. It's wrong.
The button's wrong.
The button's wrong. They should eliminate those buttons.
I'm the exact opposite.
Yeah.
I actually, as soon as the plane's taking off, I use the ascent, the gravitational, push of the ascent to help me recline as fast as possible.
Why do I have the option to recline then and expect me not to do it? Then take it away from the seat.
They should. They should. It's for inconsiderate assholes like you.
No, it's there for a reason. It's freaking there for a reason. I don't care.
You are the worst. You are the worst. The worst person.
Guess what? It doesn't interfere with your leg space.
No, it 100% does. And not just that.
No.
Not just that. If you're watching a movie, now all of a sudden you're like this, trying to watch a movie. You're assuming that everyone else leans. We do not all lean.
It leans above the seat rest. Your knees are at the seat rest level. So if your knees are right here, it's going to recline right here. Okay, so it doesn't.
Lap.
Okay, so recline.
Is a part
recline.
Of
recline, bro.
They
don't recline that much. They don't recline that much. It's like
they
this
recline
little.
all the way into your lap. Like
no, they don't.
You're a step away from having my lunch on your forehead so I can eat it. I've literally had to eat.
They don't.
Like this.
No, they literally no. You're exaggerating, okay?
No, I'm not.
Yes. They literally spend. They have human factors engineers that spend days and days and weeks, like making sure the recline is right, so that way you can still have your tray table out and still use it without getting in your space.
Like
You're
this?
just being a little baby. Not
Like
my fault.
this?
Your shoulders, dude. The real problem is the seats are too narrow for your fat ass shoulders. Okay.
Muscular ass shoulders, and
not my fault that you're like, oh, sorry, I can't fit in this seat. I'm too muscular.
So what's your move than when you're leaning back and you got someone like me that's behind you. Because I'm going to tell you right now, there are people that do this, Wes. The chair has leaned back as far as it will go, and they'll start hitting you with the trying to get it, and they'll just keep pushing it as if it goes further. What's your stance on those people? Because I also think those people are giant douchebags.
That probably happens once or twice. And some of those airplane seats, they're kind of sticky. Okay, they don't go all the way as far. But here's the thing. If it's a short flight, I probably won't do it. But if it's 4 or 5 hours, you better bet your ass I'm reclining. I don't give a crap what you think.
It's the worst. The legs are hurting. The whole body, the back hurts when people do that. So I take a stand. And you know what that stand is, Wes? The second I figure out that you're a leaner, you better not get up. If you get up, you have lost your leaning. Because I press the button on the seat in front of me and I push it forward. And then I put my head in that seat. And I just act like I'm asleep. I'm not asleep. I'm just not letting you move back anymore. I'm going to keep my space now. So
I like to see that. I'm leaning back. I'm doing this. And I am slamming that seat into your face. And I don't care if you get a black eye. That's all I got to say.
We need a poll on this because I think I'm in the
It's there for a reason. Okay.
I do think I'm in the minority. I think most people want to lean, but you're all jerks. But yeah. So
How about you lean then?
I don't want to lean because I'm not a jerk. I'm not trying to inconvenience the guy behind me. I like to sit up straight. I like to be nice and comfy, stretch the back.
Sit up straight.
But I
this
isn't
sports.
One time that he was trying to slam his back backwards. This is about sports, okay?
This isn't about sports, man. It's about to be sports when I get in the fight because I run into you and you're being a punk and I knock you out.
He was so mad at me, and he looks back. He puts up his hand. I was like, yeah, I don't know what's happening with your seat. I just went back to sleep, leaning fully into that seat. So for me, that's kind of like an issue where it doesn't get any worse unless we have a college basketball game that's a playoff game and you measure the 3-point line almost a foot wrong. How does that happen? How does it wrong as the person leaning back or even more wrong, Wes?
Well, I'm just going to say it's kind of, so here's the thing. Everyone plays on each half of the court evenly or equally, so it's a big screw up, but it didn't really favor anyone specifically. So, yeah, it was stupid, though. How do you get it 9 inches short?
Thanks, Oregon. Thanks, Wes's hometown. By the way, Wes is one of the engineers that's working on those seats that are just perfectly designed.
I don't work on the seats, but...
Just like they're 3-point lines.
I'll work on the flight test, okay?
Fair enough. I'll leave it alone. But how does this happen? I don't know. How do you get it so wrong where the 3-point line is almost a foot shorter on one side of the court?
I don't know. And it took them 4 games to notice it. They noticed it during the 5th game at some point. They must have noticed some disparity on the broadcast camera. Because it's 9 inches, but that's pretty hard to spot when you're just there on the court. Yeah. And you don't have the full view. So I think someone must have been watching the broadcast and noticed. But yeah, they fixed it for the last game there.
The very last game got
a
regular size.
But you could tell because there's a fill color. They have it painted white underneath the 3 line. And so when you're watching the broadcast, one of them, the white goes all the way up to the 3-point line. And then on the other side, there's this gap where it's painted white. And then you have the hardwood. And then the 3-point line. It was bad. I was like, this just looks stupid.
It makes Portland look bad. It does. It makes Portland look bad.
Yeah.
It makes the NCAA look bad. It makes everyone involved look bad. And the NCAA has looked bad for quite a while now.
Yeah. It was at the Rose Garden. Not the Moda Center. I don't care what you tell me. It's not the Moda Center. It's the Rose Garden. Always has been. Always will be. It's the city of roses. It's Rose Garden.
Okay, all right. Calm down, Portlandia. It'll be
just
okay.
Changing Staples Center. Okay, Crypto.com Center. No, it's the Staples Center. It always has been.
And look how that worked out.
It's the house that Kobe built.
Look how Crypto.com worked out. That worked out so well.
Terrible.
So, speaking of Crypto.com Arena or Staples or whatever it's called now. The Lakers made it out of the matchup against the Warriors, and I think that was the matchup most of us wanted to see if it was for the play-in game, was the Warriors against the Lakers. Do you think we're still going to get that matchup?
I don't know. There's a lot that goes on between that, or for that to happen. I don't think so.
You think Zion finally wins his first, watch this, playoff game? Do you think Zion finally wins his first playoff game? Or do you think that the Warriors give it one more run?
No, I don't think the Warriors get in.
Is that just your hatred for the Warriors talking, or do you really feel like the Pelicans are going to beat the Warriors?
I feel like the Pelicans are going to beat the Warriors.
Okay. All right. And then you feel like the Lakers have a shot over the Kings, or no?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's LeBron. Never count out LeBron.
Never count out LeBron.
Yeah,
never. I guess that's fair. I think that they get in. I think that the Warriors get in as an 8 seed. I do. I think they win the play-in tournament, and I think they're in. I think they give it one more run. Now, the problem is one of 3 teams is going to be waiting for them, right? The Denver Nuggets, the Oklahoma City Thunder, or the Minnesota Timberwolves. Which one of those teams do you think would be better for the Warriors to see if the Warriors did make it through?
Well, I think it's going to be the Nuggets. I think the Nuggets are going to take the 1 seed, and they're going to smash whoever's the 8th seed.
I mean, Steph has got to be sick of this, right? Steph is looking over his shoulder like, you got me dragging these guys around still? Still? You got me throwing them on my back and carrying these guys around? We couldn't do anything? We're light years ahead of everyone else, and I'm carrying these guys to the playoffs, to the 10 seed? Like, that's got to be how Steph feels, right?
Yeah. I mean, they need to get Steph a new team or put Steph on a roster where he can actually do something.
I really hope, like we said last week, that there are trades. There are no trades allowed in college basketball, but wow, the women put on a show. We got UConn, Iowa, which could have just as easily been the NCAA championship game. All right. But it ended controversially. With a moving screen call. And you said you have thoughts on this, and I'd love to hear them.
I think it was 100% the right call. Because if you look at it, her legs were as wide as they can go. She was well past her shoulders when she stepped out to throw that screen, and she moved her body into the screen. It's a moving screen. You can't do that. And if the referee swallowed their whistle, then that's the same thing. They're affecting the game by not calling it. It wasn't even ticky-tack. It was absolutely a moving screen.
You are taking the same stance I took after last year's or the year before last Super Bowl. And I agree with you, though. I agree with you wholeheartedly. I looked at it and I was like, I mean, it was a penalty. And he blew his whistle. I mean, he could have gone either way. He could have swallowed his whistle, like you said, or he could have blown it and he blew it. It was a foul. Clearly, It was a foul. And she hit Gabby Marshall really hard on the screen. Like, you did see her hit her pretty good.
Yeah.
For me, get over it at this point. I can't do it anymore. Like, it's very rare. Like, I'm going to say terrible call, terrible way to end the game when it is. And I'll say they got the call right when they did, but I'm going to leave it at that.
Yeah. It sucks the game ended that way because it was a really close game. And UConn was, they were down by a little bit. They were down by like 10 points.
Oh,
well, they were down by like 10 points leading up to that, and they came back, and they made it a 1-point game, and they had the chance to get the lead right there. But she was just out of position on her screen. That was her own fault. So, and then she realized that, and she had to, sucks, but
it was a great game. And it was
also
the highest rated game on ESPN. It beat the record of the game prior to it, LSU against Iowa, as far as viewership is concerned. Go ahead, Wes.
Yeah. Can we also talk about Caitlin Clark's little move at the end, her inbounds pass? Did you see that?
Off the back?
Yeah, she hit it off the back or whatever, so it bounced a couple times and went out of bounds. It drained like a full second off the clock, so there was only like 0.6 seconds or something like that. I was like, that's dirty, Caitlin, but that is smart.
People were posting videos of her doing it in AAU and scoring a basket, bouncing it off, and they said training for this moment her whole life. She bounces it off someone's back.
She's smart.
She's
a little trickster.
IQ. Yeah, people don't give her enough credit. She's not just a scorer. She's a really, really great basketball player. And she's seeing it. And you and I both picked Iowa to go to the championship, hopefully win the championship. this team is really good, but what they don't need is what Angel Reese got and what now Gabby Marshall is getting is death threats. Do you know that Gabby Marshall is not the referee? She's not.
Right.
She just the penalty was called on the player on her. She didn't blow the whistle. She had nothing to do with it. You adults that are death threats. She deleted her social media.
Right.
A college-age girl deleting her social media. Go ahead, Wes.
It's sad. It's stupid. Like, why are we picking on college girls? Like, why?
College anyone. Remember, we did this with Caleb Williams
college
last
players.
week. What are we doing? Like, they're still like, yes, they make a lot of money. You're jealous. We get it.
They're not even doing anything stupid or whatever.
Yeah.
It's not like Ja Morant flashing his gun around or street racing at like 100 miles an hour in a Lamborghini. It's
like Rachie Rice. Nice reference there. But it's Gabby Marshall as a college student having to delete all of her social media because you assholes would not leave her alone about something that's not in her hands in any way. In any way, she has no
playing
say.
the game that they grew up.
No, and she's
learning how to play.
She's
That's
a
all they're
very
doing.
good basketball player, just like Caitlin Clark's a very good basketball
player.
player.
They beat your favorite team, but shut up, stop being a little child.
Threatening somebody's life to the extent where they just leave social media and can't understand why this is happening to them because they're not the referee, as she said repeatedly in her press conference, is pathetic. And you are all pathetic that are doing this.
So, I mean, I guess this happens all the time in other sports, NFL, NBA, college football. And I feel like this is like last year and this year is like the first we're starting to hear of it happening in like women's college basketball, which I guess means that women's college basketball has finally arrived mainstream.
It's finally made it. If you're getting all the same criticisms that the men are getting.
If you have grown-ass men.
Getting their panties in a bunch is what he meant. He meant getting their panties in a bunch. Sorry, phrasing.
It's arrived. And you know what? You know how I know it's arrived? Because, like you were saying, going back to the ratings, so the last two Iowa games have outdone any of the college football games except two. Only two college football games last year had more viewers. That was Michigan, Ohio State, and then Alabama, Georgia in the SEC championship game. I'm not counting the college football playoffs because that's obviously, but any other regular season college football game. That's crazy.
Well, I mean, and look at Iowa versus LSU led to that team totally breaking up because Angel Reese is going to the NBA. Haley Von Lith is transferring out. I've already made my prediction. I think she's going to UConn. I think that UConn is stacked. People don't understand how injured UConn was. Go ahead, Wes.
Well, I mean, UConn's always going to be good. Gino he's the best.
Pat
I mean, how can you not want to?
Pat Summitt would like a word, but she R.I.P. Pat.
They made friends at the end, which is good. But I mean, Pat Summitt was really good. She's number 2 in my eyes. But Gino Auriemma is. I mean, if I was a women's basketball player going into college, I'd want to play for Gino if I was that good.
Yeah, and I think that team is, like I said, stacked. Fudd was injured all year. Last year, Paige Beckers was injured. I can only imagine what that team is going to look like fully healthy. And that team, I got really into.
They gave UConn a run for their money.
Yeah, I mean, like I've always liked women's college basketball. Skylar Diggins, Kelsey Plum, 2 of my favorite players of all time. Love Asia Wilson. But I got really, really like into watching it game by game, the entire game, during the first time I watched Caitlin Clark square off against Paige Beckers. Right? Paige Beckers brought me to the game. And I would love to see Paige get a championship before she leaves college. And I'd love to see Caitlin Clark get a championship before she leaves college.
I am all in on Iowa tonight.
And she's got to play against Cardoso. And Cardoso and South Carolina have been a juggernaut. But you know who eliminated South Carolina last year, Wes?
LSU.
But I believe it was Iowa that eliminated South Carolina last year. So can they do it again? Can Caitlin Clark and Iowa end another perfect season by the South Carolina Gamecocks?
Oh, yeah, it was Iowa. Yeah, wow. Okay.
Can they do it again? Can they end another perfect season? Wes, you said you're all in.
I'm all in. I think they do it. I think she finally gets that ring.
Does this game outrate UConn Iowa?
Yeah. Absolutely.
You didn't even hesitate.
No.
You're like 15 million. 15
Yeah.
million this game. I think it's going to be great. I think it's an unstoppable force against an immovable object here. And we are going to see the Titans clash. And I'm excited about this game. The game I'm a little bit less excited about, Wes, is the game that has you and your panties in a bunch. Purdue against UConn. And
I hate Purdue. I hate Purdue because I would be in position to make a lot of money tonight if Purdue had just lost to Tennessee. That's all you had to do. Was just go down to Tennessee. But no, you decided to beat Tennessee, you decided to beat NC State, and now I'm not going to make anything because of Zach Edey and Purdue. Okay, how about you just go lose to another 16 seed? All right? This is why I'm sad. I hate Purdue. I'm tired of them. And you know what? Zach Edey is going to suck in the NBA. I said it.
If he even makes it to the NBA. We've had the Taco Fall conversation. It's just not the same game. And I'm sorry, Purdue.
He's a big fish in a little pond right now, but wait till he gets in the NBA.
It's just a different game. It's a different game.
It is.
And they're just going to they're going to play you off the court in the NBA if you're Zach Edey. You're not going to be allowed to park it down low in the low post. You're going to have to get drawn out to the three-point line. They're going to put a more athletic big on you. Wes, you said it last week. In the NBA, there are more 7-footers than in college football. So you're no longer a unicorn.
Yeah, you're not.
You're going to be guarding the likes of Porzingis.
Yeah, I think Klingon runs Edey off the court in the national championship game, and UConn goes back-to-back.
You think so?
Yep.
I don't know if it's going to be that easy, but I do agree with you. I think UConn is going to go back-to-back. I think overall UConn has the better team. I do feel bad for you, though, because though you had lost the pool because of Purdue and Tennessee, I know you had a soft spot for old DJ, and he took out your boy, too.
Yeah, I'm going to remember DJ Burns from this tournament fondly. He was my favorite player to watch.
He looked tired, though. I'm not going to lie, Wes. I watched a lot of that game, and he looked tired quite a bit running up and down the court trying to keep up with Purdue.
Yeah. Yeah, it's been a lot of games. So
it takes a lot to keep those big engines going. And hats off to him, though, carrying an 11 seed North Carolina State this far into the tournament.
Through the ACC tournament, all the way into the NCAA tournament. That was a hell of a run.
Yeah, and how about the two North Carolina State teams just destroying what was largely chalk for the most part? Like, we had a couple 12-5 upsets, which we've come to expect every year. But overall, the women's and the men's tournament were largely chalk tournaments.
Yeah. Especially the women's. I mean, the women's was mostly chalk. Except for
Stanford. Stanford.
Come on, Stanford.
I had Stanford. And now Stanford is losing one of their best players in Cameron Brink, who is leaving Stanford. And Wes, how about her reason, which you have said repeatedly about the pack breaking up, which is no one wants to travel all over the world when you're on the West Coast.
Yeah, because they're going to the ACC, and she doesn't want to be traveling to the East Coast every other weekend.
Especially with a course load like she has at Stanford, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's not an easy school. And she's like, look, I'm not trying to be all over the world all the time. I think that I feel bad now for these Stanford schools, Cal, and then you got Wazoo, and you've got Oregon State. And I'm kind of like, dang, like when she makes that point, I feel really terribly for the students. Like, no one was thinking of the students in all of this. And now they've got to think about themselves and say, hey, what about us? Like, we've got to go somewhere. We've got to still study. We still got to go to class all the time. She will be going to the WNBA. She is a senior this year. Well, when I get back, Wes, we're going to talk NFL draft and some more NFL topics because the NFL never sleeps. But I've enjoyed talking about other sports to include baseball. How do you feel about teams like the Dodgers that are just going to pay all this money and buy their way to the top of their divisions?
It's stupid. I mean, I think baseball needs a salary cap. I think we know that. It's just not fair for anything right now.
What would the salary cap even be, though? How would you even do that? And the Mariners are middle of the road right now. They're middle of the pack. They're 4-5.
Yeah. They're not that hot.
But they look good.
They look okay.
We can't get Wes into baseball this early. We've got to wait till the
Not this
midseason.
Not this early.
Like, just gonna check out until.
I'll go to games, but there's 150 more games to play. We got a long road.
All right. Well, I appreciate it. It's been a fun show, Wes. As always, you can reach us on X, Instagram, TikTok at TheSadFan12 and TheSadFancast. Thank you so much, Wes, and we will see you all next week.
Bye.